So game 3, both sets gone to this game 3 so far in this one. It's time to see what happens. Picks and bans between SK and Mousesports. No more splits. It feels so good. This is twice in a row where it feels good to actually get a definitive winner.
It's incredibly satisfying being able to actually determine one over the other. Speaking of which, both of these teams not really looking to be that one or the other. They want to make sure that they come out with a W, and Dardez is going to be the first god of choice to be taken away here from Mousesports.
Yeah, Dardez has been heavily prioritized so far today at our first day of competition in Season 5. Rival was first picking her consistently, now being banned away by Mouse and SK. She's been banned in every single one of these games so far. Thoth has also been banned in every single game so far today. So already, you know, it's still pretty early on to talk about what is very good in the competitive game set, what is, you know, a little bit better in competitive than it is in your typical games, vice versa. Seems to me that Dodgy, Thoth are the two that are really standing out. Camazotz as well.
That Iana's takeaway from Mouse is saying loads right there to Lawbster in particular. He was maneuvering all over the place with those ultimates and having that unstable vortex follow up off of Badgah's plucks plus his own portals. I think that for Mouse, they were really struggling to get things going because in Game 1, we saw Cherryo and this Cabrakan having no problems whatsoever locking members down. Game 2, a lot more troublesome whenever you're trying to deal with Iana, who's just running amok, and now eliminating that from the get-go leads me to believe we could possibly see another Cabrakan run back. I wouldn't necessarily anticipate the Camazotz to be the guaranteed jungle lock.
No, it's been in the solo lane both times so far this set, so wouldn't be surprised to see it there again. Camazotz 2-0 so far in this set. May as well first pick him if you're Mouse. I wonder if SK, yes, is going to take away the Discordia. I was kind of surprised they didn't ban it, but you give Mousesports the option of Camazotz or Discordia, and then you end up taking the other one. Not necessarily because Discordia is, you know, the best mid laner right now, but because that's all BigManTingz has played so far. You kind of want to make him prove that he's got something else in the pool.
Well, it seems as though Raijin seems to be his other go-to pick here in Season 5. An interesting pick as well, especially against this Discordia. At Worlds, we actually saw Discordia as the answer to those Raijin pickups, and now watching him willingly go into this, knowing that Discordia has a lot of lockdown and burst, trying to match it is what I'm imagining to be the mentality here for Mouse, especially with that on her pickup. They're really just trying to put pressure versus pressure.
Well, Osiris going to round out the first half of SK's draft, giving Ducky his kind of the god that, in my mind, catapulted him into the limelight in the SPL. His Osiris play was the one that immediately stood out to me. So excited to see what he can do on one of his old favorites, as Robin banned away here by SK. This Raijin pick, first of all, Raijin Discordia feels like a very Season 4 mid lane matchup. I am shocked at the lack of Agni we've seen so far today. Agni to me feels like one of the better mid laners right now. Why do you is it just that BigManTingz must not be comfortable on these other gods? Is there any reason besides BigManTingz comfort level to pick Raijin here instead of any other mage?
For BigManTingz, I think it's entirely comfort level over everything else right now. Lawbster is just taking shots and seeing which one of them is going to land. This Discordia pickup is a direct sniper shot to BigManTingz. He wants to put a point and make it clear that he's still got the dominance over Tings in the mid lane.
Well, Nemesis and Rat, two junglers taken away from SK, but interesting to note that after a pretty good performance on the Hunbats last game, and Mouse are kind of willing to let Faeles go back to it. The Nemesis that he played in Game 1 didn't end up working out, but still gets banned away. But even despite his own success, Faeles decides to go a different route. Susano in the jungle, and Susano, one of the gods that I think really takes advantage of the new assassin itemization that gives him a ton of damage, but his startup, the early game for Susano, can sometimes be a struggle.
That's where all the questions are being raised right now, too, for SK's draft so far, because you've got the Susano and the Discordia. That doesn't exactly scream early game presence to me. Yeah. Sure, Ullr and Osiris can kind of compensate for what you might be lacking in the mid lane role, but it's still going to be pretty difficult, I think, for Faeles to get up and running initially. He's going to have to definitely bide his time, maybe look to put a little bit more emphasis, though, into that dual lane. It's great having that Susano pull in to at least burn out the actives or maybe even force out an ultimate from the on her.
Man, Season 5 bringing tons of fun team compositions to the limelight. On her, Fenrir, Hunbats, Camazotz, and Raijin. So I'm guessing it's going to be Fenrir support, Hunbats jungle, Camazotz solo, 4 physicals. Does this concern you at all for Mousesports? Or on the other side, does a Kumbhakarna pick concern you from SK?
I think that the Kumbhakarna pick is awesome. My main reason being that if he gets his Groggy Strike, he can actually lock somebody down and look for a lot of first blood potential. This is actually a kill lane. People sleep, no pun intended, on what Kumbhakarna can do at level 1.
Don't come in here with not intended garbage. Who wins Game 3?
I actually am kind of digging Mousesports draft, but I feel as though the execution might be too much to pull off just yet for this team, so I'd probably have to hand it to SK.
All right, Taco says SK. Let's hand it over to Tom and Toli, who should not be sleeping on this duo lane.
I was trying to hold it. I literally just yawned. So I'm like tearing in my eyes. I was trying to hold it for the Kumbhakarna. Real talk, I love Kumbhakarna. This is one of the most obnoxious characters to play against. You're going to be super locked down. Taco said if you get Groggy Strike, you're getting locked down no matter what versus the Kumbhakarna. Is it enough to get the victory, though?
I think that it could very well be. It's one of the easiest gods to control a team fight between your Mesmerize Yawn, your Mighty Yawn, your Groggy Strike, the epic uppercut that basically gets people out of a team fight. Yeah.
Almost.
It's not as mighty, though.
Not nearly as mighty as the Kumbhakarna. Let's get into Game 3 nice and quick. That's what I'm rooting for. I want to see how these teams do, because like we said, it's similar to the first set. If you're just joining us earlier in the afternoon, we took a look at Rival versus Energy. Game number 1, we saw a massive lead. Game number 2, we saw a massive lead for the enemy team. And then game number 3, nice and even. We kind of saw the same thing here. So I'm hoping that this one's really even.
And I think that honestly, if I got to give it to one team or another here, looking at these two drafting compositions, I think Mousesports can pull it out, especially with Nika on this Camazotz, taking that momentum away from Ducky.
So Toli's going to sneak into Mixer Chat and put his vote down. Let's see what you guys are saying on the polls. Make sure you go ahead and take advantage of that opportunity. Jermain on the On Her. I said before, this guy's a fighter. You fight with the On Her.
Not against the Euler, honestly, and I think that's exactly what SK Gaming did with their draft. After the Camazotz came out first for Mousesports, no hesitation by SK Gaming, taking the Discordia and the Euler. Now they're going to be testing BigManTingz. I'm like, okay, what else do you have in your god pool? It's going to be the Raijin for this game, not electing to go for, as, you know, Aggro was thinking of, more easier team fighting gods such as Agni can easily set up your team for a nice spot.
On the other side here we see the support Fenrir. Kind of made famous by Aurora. Dardez actually going to cause damage but take damage as well. Funball doing work, as is Badgah, but this is what you're going to see. A ton of damage.
This next jump from Dardez is going to be a stun, so there needs to be a lot of attention with what's about to happen.
And there's Jermain, can't catch up. He's going to be Groggy Struck, and he'll be stunned out. BigManTingz gets hit. You asked for players to challenge the Discordia. Lawbster on the purple-haired goddess this time around, so BigManTingz going to be playing the Raijin.
Sometimes it's not a bad idea to change your priority of god pools just to see if that's going to actually affect the flow and the dynamic of an enemy team's dynamic. Lawbster played fantastic on his game, but that doesn't mean that he can't take the Discordia away from BigManTingz to see how that's going to disrupt Mousesports' momentum.
Dardez here, like I mentioned, I'm going to keep coming back to this Fenrir support because I love it. We talked, there was going to be a lot of open-ended selection for the support role in Season 5. Dardez on the Dogman, coming around looking for the flank. Jumps in, gets the stun. There comes the second jump, gets the knockup. Jermain won't find the impale on Badgah. Nice body block. And now Funball could be in trouble. There's another one, another stun as well. Jermain can't find the damage, but boy, I mean, this is a kill lane.
Yeah. He missed the Brutalize there. Actually wanted to hit onto Funballer, but, you know, the hitbox model from Kumbhakarna too strong and couldn't really get around there.
One more time. This time not going to be a stun. Dardez gets yawned out. That Kumbhakarna is going to work really well against that Fenrir once he gets some levels. Nika in trouble, but does have some sustain, but is he playing with too much here?
A little bit, actually. Ducky is playing the Osiris, a god that not that easy to box into. I definitely don't expect Nika to go for the same building path the way Ducky did by going for that early Transcendence.
Wow. This time around, kind of lopsided. Again, alluding to the set that we saw earlier, it was sided in each team, but then we got to game 3. Everybody in the audience seemed to think it was even. This time around, not the case.
SK Gaming won the second game very convincingly, so that doesn't actually shock me that a lot of people are assuming that, momentum is going to ride it for game number 3. And, seeing the first set between Energy versus Rival just goes to show how easily some opinions could kind of sway.
Well, for me, it's going to be all about how this early to mid-game transition goes for the dual lane from Mousesports. If Dardez and Jermain, because these are both early to mid-game characters, essentially, if Dardez and Jermain can continue doing what they're doing, honestly, and just smacking SK in the mouth here, they're going to push them out of lane, take control of this jungle. If they get 2 or 3 rotations of stealing SK's jungle, it's going to open them up for Gold Fury and even more. It's a very scary lean coming out from the French.
It's all about the baby steps and what they do with it, because they're going to hit level 5 first. They're going to have the Ragnarok, Desert Fury combination. You're going to set up easy, guaranteed all 8 impales.
Oh, that's the jump.
Solo.
First blood, solo kill, SK.
I can hear Taco in the background just screaming, get soloed by Ducky right now. The Duck is coming, and he's here. Whether he's playing the Camazotz, it's like, take away the Camazotz, please.
Ducky, your MVP, your fan-voted MVP from game number 2, finds the solo kill here. And I think that's the Ducky. Aggro mentioned something on the desk about Faeles. And he said that, Faeles has kind of been the new player, and now it's time to prove himself. Like, you've been the new player long enough. Now you're just a player. Shut up or put up. Here comes the jump in. Here's one. Oh, the Impale going to miss. I think Ducky's in the same position. He's been the new player, and now he's not anymore. You just got to play like this. So I'm impressed.
He's definitely got a lot of spunk behind him. He is playing light out in this set. The way the Camazotz was performed was just absolute brilliance here. Taking a risk that paid off by going for a non-defensive build. But I think in this matchup against the Camazotz and also a Hunbats in the jungle, you can't get away with an aggressive assassin-like build, especially on the gods such as Osiris. He's actually going to start going into the Gladiator Shield. Makes a lot of sense considering how low of a cooldown that first ability is, that Sickle Strike. I think it's like 3, maybe even 4-second cooldown.
Yeah, you're just tossing out sickles. I mean, we see Osiris players, it's very commonplace to just toss out sickles on cooldown to reset your attack chain.
Yes.
Right? Not even using it for the ability a lot of the times on minions and stuff, so got to keep that in mind as well.
Because as an Osiris player, you're looking for the single target damage. So the way his basic attack chain works is the first 2 in-hands are single target, then the third and the fourth are AoE cleave. So you're looking for the first 2, then you use an ability, use the first 2 again, use another ability, just keep looking for the reset. And looking for a gank is actually Dardez, but
you can see the observer just pointed out the ward that Dardez walked over. When he was closer, SK Gaming had no idea he was there, and he might have been able to successfully gank that lane, but walked over the ward as he finds his way to the purple buff, which is, honestly, the better play.
Especially considering he's soaking in the experience by himself, allowing Jermain to get this full wave by himself.
That's also level 5 for the doggo. We're going to look at Cherryo, level 7 here in the solo lane. Pops the ultimate, and that's trouble for Ducky. All the way up in the enemy tower. Up and down with the ultimate. 2 ults come out in exchange. Not going to be the case. Left-hand side, we see level 5 for the doggo. Dardez falls down as Faeles. Makes the rotation on top of it. Kumakarna, Badgah lives. Thankfully, to his passive, 2 kills for SK Gaming.
A nice opportunity there, but didn't really respect the potential rotation. When you're playing aggressive, you're going to get punished. And that's exactly what happened in the duo lane. They tried to find the punish on the solo lane to try to exploit Ducky, but playing the Osiris, man, that passive alone has so much damage reduction that it makes it very... It's like such a love-hate relationship because, like, yeah, you could gank a solo lane, but not against a tanky target such as Osiris.
Well, Ducky certainly taking care of business. 2-0-0. As the young man finds another kill. SK Gaming certainly look like they want this one to be short and sweet, Totally.
Oh,
just
yeah.
Coming out of the gate swinging.
Cherryo taking a spill is going to allow Faeles to catch up in the level department. Now, despite finding the kill in the duo lane, he was level 7 not even like 15 seconds ago, so Cherryo was slightly ahead of him in the experience per minute, but now that he's dead, the respawn timer allows Faeles to play catch up.
Dardez here, rejoining Jermain here. You know, I really liked that play from Dardez. So he walks over the ward, and he sits at the purple buff, and he waits there almost longer. Kind of, where'd he go? He gets the purple buff, and then he sat there where he should have left, and that was a nice trick play from Mousesports. But SK Gaming, I think the expected response from SK Gaming for Mouse was maybe they'll come and find me in the purple buff.
Yeah.
But instead, the response was, bring the jungler just in case because he's playing Fenrir support. Like, we're going to get jumped on. He has an ultimate after hitting level 5. So, I like the play from Mousesports, but SK Gaming, one step ahead, playing very smart.
Now, Fenrir support is definitely a god that has its pros and cons. Now, whether or not people can debate, you know, more pros and cons or vice versa.
They're all pros.
But looking forward towards the future, it's important to play towards your strength. And that's what Dardez is trying to do, playing the Fenrir support. Because if you're not trying to look for the damage with your Unchained first ability, then why even picking Fenrir to begin with?
Right.
So SK Gaming certainly are familiar with this kind of a tactic. And Faeles was just at the right place at the right time. I think Mousesports need to reassess how they're going to be playing in that dual lane, especially when Faeles is not visible in the minimap.
I actually disagree with you on that, Tully. I like the way that Mouse has been playing this dual lane, despite the fact that they do have one death in here. Here comes Cherryo, and they're going to turn this one around. Cherryo gets the last hit. Here's the big woof woof. There is the basic attacks, and that's the Dubayoon for the Egyptian. Wonderful play. 2 kills for Mousesports, and that's what I was talking about. Stay aggressive. You have the tools. You mentioned it yourself. You're playing an aggressive god. You gotta stay aggressive. Just because you get ganked once, if you ease off the gas, you're just not doing what you're supposed to be doing.
I mean, it helps when Cherryo was there before Faeles, but obviously, yes, that is a huge bonus now for Mousesports, getting themselves on the board here. Cherryo still looking for the plays, despite being a great farmer this game around. Using that Fear No Evil perfectly. Bees was actually forced on Funballer during that Unchained earlier on, so he had no escape from the Ragnarok, and Badgah was that target because they knew his passive was still down. Get that first pick, look for a second. Great separation of cooldowns from Dardez, securing both kills.
And again, when you're looking at the options here, a lot of times you see this with an Ares and a Hunbat's combo where there's a teammate that's going to strip beads and the other teammate's going to capitalize off of it. You're seeing the same thing with Cherryo and Dardez. At some point, you're screwed, especially against the Ullr pick who doesn't have the CC immunity. Cherryo comes in, either you beats my ult or you beats Dardez's ult. Either way, you're going to get hit by the other one, and you're probably screwed.
Oh, getting pulled in is Cherryo, and he's not looking like he's having a good time whatsoever. Faeles gets credited with that kill. Now it's going to be a 4-on-2. Up in the sky is Dardez, using that Ragnarok for the mobility. Can't find anyone to pull in, though.
Just didn't belong there. Cherryo just, at the end of the day, even the pros make mistakes.
It's true.
No other way about it. That's a mistake. That absolutely isn't. Ducky able to secure a tier 1 tower for SK Gaming, putting them up a whole 1,000 gold here early on. 11 minutes in, 4-2. SK slightly in the lead.
The theme of this game, to me at least, is a race between Ducky and Jermain of who is going to out-carry the other harder.
Okay.
Ducky has a 3-level lead over Nika. Jermain's about a 2, almost 3-level lead over Funballer. And like I mentioned, Ducky's making the bigger impact right now. So once he's making these rotations, I'm really worried.
Oh, fun ball! Adam, do you see that one?
Yep.
That was
That's
incredible.
Ullr. That's Ullr right there. Like, you can shut down an Ullr, but he's still maxing out his first and third ability.
Cherryo there trying to play distraction. Pops the ultimate on the lone player. The rest of SK Gaming looking towards the objective. Dardez is here, and he's going to get jumped on by the Ullr. There's the stun. There's the sun. Dardez takes a seat as Funballer and Lawbster combine for the damage. Here comes BigManTingz, tosses the ultimate. 1, 2, 3, and that's not going to be BigManTingz's. SK Gaming controls the objective, and right now they control the game.
A valiant effort there by the Ryzen middle. BigManTingz, he timed it pretty well there, having some idea of when that gold fear was going to be low enough. I thought that there was a decent chance for him to steal that completely. Unfortunate though for Mousesports that Dardez fell at the same, like right before the gold fear was going to get completed, standing right above a ward. Whenever you have your support next to you, that makes BigManTingz' job that much easier.
12.5 in here, folks, at SK. Like I said, I mean, this is a squad that, if you ask SK Gaming, I don't think that they deserve to, that they're supposed to lose to Mouse. I think universally pros respect the dual lane of Dardez and Jermain, but when you look at the SK Gaming roster, Ducky, Faeles, Lawbster, Funball, and Badgah is a little bit new. Funball and Lawbster, in their brains, don't lose to this team. And I think they're a little bit mad coming into game number 3 here.
It's very possible. They have been historically, emotional players every now and then with their past squads as well. But this is Season 5. You got to put that behind you and in the new house, the new door, whatever you want to call it, and just play this new meta between wider map, different start items, different mechanics behind towers as well, and see how you guys adjust. You can't let emotion play a factor here.
I think it's about how you let emotion play a factor, and Funball specifically, Lawbster a little bit less so, but Funball specifically I think has always, when we say emotional player, it's almost always with a negative connotation. Funball has been a player that kind of like takes his emotion and it fuels him. Kind of like Herwind over there in North America, where when they have a poor game or they don't do as well as they expected, you see them turn up. That's what we see. I mean, that play at a Funball when he gets to the Hail and Arrow snipes, that's Funball turning up. And I know for a fact that Kieran's at his computer screaming about that play, and that's going to feed him going forward.
Oh, absolutely. It's nice to always, hype up certain moments, especially, you get a double kill, triple, whatever. Get the rest of your teammates blood and pumping and get them involved as well. But you can't have a mentality of two ways. You can't have a mentality where like, oh, we're better than this team, we're guaranteed to beat them, of like, oh, we're not as good as this team, we're certainly going to lose. I think both of those two mentalities at a pro level, there's no room for, and it's more about just playing the game that's in front of you.
Right. And so with SK Gaming, they're certainly playing the game here. Mousesports, the duo lane, we kept looking at because Dardez playing on this Fenrir here. These guys have to lift off. I mean, we're already to the point where Fenrir is starting to build true tank, but he's still going to be able to bring some damage for a couple more minutes, but the damage falls off as the game gets later and later, and we weren't able to see the leverage that Mousesports were expecting from it.
At a late game point for a Fenrir support, it's going to provide a similar gameplay mechanic as the way Dardez was playing the Robin support. Single target elimination. Get this player out of a team fight. Not your traditional Guardian that has the AoE peel or AoE engage. And like you mentioned, the damage is going to fall off, so who does he go on? Discordia is going to be able to kind of peel for herself, honestly, especially when she's kind of like juking around inside her cloud.
Oh, Dardez misses the stun, and his brutalizing gets interrupted, and that's pretty much what he does. Backline, there's Lawbster, and the ultimate out of Cherryo gonna largely miss, or at least not have too big of an impact. Here comes the Raijin and the rotation. Dardez in trouble, but it's Badgah the one that's in more trouble. A couple more basics and he's dead, but they can't find it. Nice block to SK Gaming. Jermain finally puts it down. Wasn't sure they were gonna get that one, Tolly.
It took a lot to find that one kill. The engagement was completely botched once Dardez missed a jump, but Cherryo still trusted that he would be able to go in, blink, look for something, almost anything, and have some follow from BigManTingz, because the damage from Raijin, sitting at level 15, you can't really deny that. And that any sort of setup, whether it's the Unchained Stun, the Ragnarok, the Fear No Evil, you're looking for a BigManTingz to follow up. The call was made, and Mousesports committed to the call. And SK Gaming wanted to punish them. Unfortunately for them, Badgah was the one that got punished instead.
And so things swinging back into Mousesports' favor. Still trailing by a little bit of gold, but it's still here.
It's also the matter of the itemization. Badgah hasn't fully finished stacking. His Gauntlet of Thebes doesn't have that evolution bonus of the protections, whereas if you look at Dardez, he's not interested in looking for any sort of stacking. He's looking to play early game momentum based since he is the Fenrir, having Talaria boots, having the Sovereignty for the extra HP 5 aura. Not only that, having Ankile to sort of disrupt the flow from Lawbster.
Yeah, I like the Oculate pickup as well. This is going to be a hybrid item for him. Allow him to stay. We're talking about the damage falling off. It's still going to fall off, but he'll be able to bring more damage than we anticipated while still being rather tanky.
Because if you think about it, it's Dardez going to jump on Lawbster, right? Yep. Lawbster probably going to try to peel for himself if Badgah's on cooldown. So once Dardez gets hit by the Strife, there's going to be no follow-up from Lawbster for about that 1 second silence.
SK Gaming positioning around the Gold's Fury. Very interested in this objective. Ducky trying to play zone. Gold Fury, no damage on it so far. SK looking for the fight as well. Nika battling it out with Ducky as everybody else stays stuck behind the back lines. Ryzen gonna be attacked now, able to dash on out.
The ultimate from Nika perfectly timed to negate Badgah's epic uppercut.
That's a small window of opportunity.
Yeah.
Nice to see those mechanics come out from Nika. But there's the double pull coming out from Faeles. Follow-up damage, follow-up damage. It comes from the other direction. Cherryo takes one down. Faeles finally answers, but a little bit too late. But luckily enough, he's got Lawbster in his corner as well. Cherryo falls down. 1 for 2. SK Gaming have the numbers, but with Faeles being this low, Toli, I don't think they want to go for that Gold Fury.
No, they don't. I mean, they already secured it actually during that little scuffle, so they were fine. Yeah, they actually secured it in the middle. Luckily, the battle was about who was going to secure that objective. SK Gaming, they win the team fight. They actually even get the Gold Fury on top of it. Pyromancer, not to respawn for another 30 to 60 seconds. Plenty of time here for Mousesports to be fully healthy and contest that one. Don't want to let this game get too far out of control because, like we mentioned, the late game presence does not favor Mousesports in this game 3.
Not at all. I mean, Ryzen can be kind of a terror, but
sure.
Dardez, Jermain, Nika, these are all mid-game-ish characters, right? Cherryo even as well. Hunbat's kind of finds his stride in the mid-game, though he does find some burst damage later on, but comparatively speaking to an Ullr, an Osiris, and a Discordia, well, you're probably not going to win those ones anytime soon. 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, you can fight into it. But this is slowly getting out of hand for Mousesports.
I mean, right now it's only 4 to 8 here. The towers still relatively in control. They only lost their tier 1 solo lane because Ducky's being an absolute monster. But Nika caught up. He was once 3, I think almost 4 levels behind Ducky, but he's found the farm available in the solo lane just to catch up. Level 16 now. Finishing off that Pestilence, but they need to find a way here to stop SK Gaming from getting this Pyromancer.
Well, Badgah's certainly zoning really well. BigManTingz not going to be able to play the drum anywhere near that objective. Keep an eye on the flank. Watch the back end. Pyro going to be leashed. There's the jump away from Dardez. Now, SK Gaming getting back on the Pyromancer. Half HP on this objective so far. Nice little slowdown onto Nika. Still not dead yet is the Pyromancer. Dardez and BMT on the left-hand side. SK Gaming dealing, and that's going to be a successful kill for SK Gaming.
Finding the objective now will have increased movement speed after they come from the fountain. Mousesports, they can't really get anything off of it. Faeles was a little low. Cherryo used his ultimate, as did Faeles. So jungler for jungler ultimate, but at the end of the day, SK Gaming, they're finding these little holes and windows to exploit Mousesports. Dardez is just not able to really get past Badgah, along with Nika, as he has to just jump away constantly.
And that's not exactly what these players want to do. They want to be jumping in, not jumping away. But Mousesports without a lead, this is a roster. This is a composition, excuse me. Very hard to play without a lead.
So I was talking about the race between Ducky and Jermain. Jermain is sitting at level 19 here. He's probably in line to be the first level 20 unless Lawbster can beat him to that punch. And I kind of expected Ducky to kind of control the game at his willpower, but SK Gaming didn't really group up and force these towers. They're still playing very carefully, not wanting to drop this important game number 3.
I'm quizzically looking at the itemization coming out from Funball. Is this a 4th item Devourer's Gloves? Or is
It
building
can't
into
be.
a Bloodforge?
It has to be a Bloodforge, honestly. It's too late to fully finish stacking all those stacks.
At the same time, it feels early for a Bloodforge.
Sure, but all right, let's see who's going to be diving him. It's going to be Nika on the Camisots, Cherryo on the Hunbats, Dardez. Like, there's so many people diving him. When you're sitting with Axe Stance, Uller, you get some more points in your ultimate. You're getting that additional lifesteal. So, Bloodforge, hell, I wouldn't even be surprised if he gets a Nazi also.
Dardez jumps in, gets his ultimate beads out. Now he's knocked to the sky by way of Badgah. Ducky on the backside takes care of the jungler, honestly, before he can even make an impact, despite using that ultimate. Continuing on, not quite. A little bit of a retreat coming out from SK Gaming. They got the jungle. They took care of Fear No Evil. And now they're ready to regroup one more time.
I like the idea that Mousesports have Dardez go in first, then Cherryo, but the problem was Jermain wasn't there, and BigManTingz was too far behind to follow up. Those two backliners not being there allows SK Gaming to win this team fight and demolish the tier 1 mid tower.
Still pushing forward, up 4,000. This one will give him another 1,500. Nika's going to be rooted real quick. Dardez just here and present, but it's not enough. The tier 2 tower crumbles. And Mousesports looking like they want to chase, but this is scary. Dardez does not have the ultimate available.
Everyone here is from SK Gaming. Right around the corner is Faeles, not showing himself on purpose, hoping Mousesports would overstep. And with those 2 towers gone, 2,000 gold added to the bank for SK Gaming. Mousesports, they're feeling a little bit like they need to force something here to get back in the game, stay relevant, going for this gold fury.
And right now, SK Gaming coming in here. This looks like it's going to be all Mousesports. What a play. Beautiful call from Mouse. They still trail by 4,000 gold, but that Gold Fury, those are the type of calls that get you back in the game like this.
Stopping the momentum of your opposition keeps you relevant for the late game. 56,000 versus 60 out of SK Gaming. Badgah jumps in, mezzes out 2 people. Gonna actually even epic uppercut. BigManTingz forcing out some relics.
And Ducky tries to find the flank on the back end, looking for the stuns. Won't find them. Nice impale coming out from Jermain to shove the enemy off.
Fails. He could have looked for something here, but he doesn't have Blink, going for beads and Aegis. If he has Blink there, no hesitation, blinks, looks to find the kill on some BigManTingz, and then finds the Storm Kata safe.
Fire Giant is the target for SK Gaming, or at least their eventual target. Right now, looking to open the window just a little bit more as they centralize around this fire pit. Fire Giant is pulled, but just for the look. The fight is absolutely what SK Gaming are looking for. Backline, Cherryo drops the ultimate, but Dardez takes care of Funball on the backline. The support Fenrir doing the job. Meanwhile, Faeles blinks forward, trying to find it, but he finds a pile of spears to the face. Wonderful damage coming out from Jermain.
Can't find many more targets here, but Faeles does take a spill. It's Mousesports. They're behind, but they're finding the kills. It seems that SK Gaming bit off more than they can chew.
Ducky and Badgah not here, not enough to defend against this Fire Giant. I said it about the Gold Fury, but I'll say it about this team fight and the objective here. These types of calls are how you get back into the game. SK Gaming, here we take a look at the graphs real quick. SK Gaming has led this game from minute 1, the momentum, and then the lead went into their hands very quickly. But right now, Mouse, they're tying this game up with these beautiful, intelligent calls.
It's all about the patience also. We saw Ducky zoning as he should have, but it was Dardez that was just more efficient in the backline. He baited out so many abilities there, even triggering the silence of his Oncule, which prevents Funballer from using that jump if it's Lawbster hitting Dardez's Fenrir.
That's actually really true.
Because normally mid-mages and hunters, they play off of each other all the time. You're relying on your own damage to kill whoever's diving you as a form of peel. But when you're getting Oncule silence, like I'm a hunter hitting a target in my axe stance, let's say, for example.
Right.
And then my mid-mage is doing their job of using an ability. And now I get silence from Oncule. That's just, it's so difficult to take everything into account as enough as it is. And then you add an Oncule to the mix. It's no wonder that Funballer took a spill.
And the reason I said like, oh, that's very true. It's kind of, you don't forget it, but it's always in the back of your mind that, like, magical damage triggers the silence, but silence will silence all characters.
Yeah, everything around you.
Yeah, the Uul can't jump, even though he's physical. So, you know, all those, the minutia is so important. Cherryo drops the Fear No Evil, and that is far from minute. That's going to be a big play as it chases Badgah all the way off the tower. Tier 2 crumbles, and Mousesports, they have the gold lead.
Great discipline from Nika to not chase the kill onto Badgah, whether or not it was his own discipline or the team making that call to disengage and just secure the tier 2 tower, find the reset. It's also a lot of ultimates being used on Badgah trying to find the kill. Nika's ultimate, Cherryo, and Jermain. It could be a possibility for SK Gaming to defend, especially with stripes like that.
That was a wonderful shot coming out from Lawbster.
Oh, Badgah's dead.
There's the big woof woof. And Badgah's going to go into the passive while the rest of the team fight rages on. Left side, Lawbster kind of chased out. Jermain also chased out. So, honestly, that's going to be that. And Badgah will survive.
No one could secure the kill. Jermain needed to run away from Ducky. Dardez almost took a spill. BigManTingz super low. And just like that, successful hold. 3 ultimates not available for Mousesports enabled them to hold that tier 2 tower in the mid lane.
About 2 minutes and about a minute and 20 seconds left on that Fire Giant. If my eyes serve me correct. So the retreat right here still allows still allows Mousesport to make a play with this Fire Giant. The Pyro's going to fall down, and they've got one quick push if they choose to do so, and I'd like to see it. I want to see them try the mid lane again before the Fire Giant falls.
It would almost be better to go for the soul lane because it's already chipped down to 50%
But
health.
the waves is what I was looking at.
True.
The wave is pushed so far up with the soul lane, because that's where I was as well. I was like, go for the solo, it's chipped down, but you have the minions right here. Mouse not going for it, though. They're going to play it safe, and they're going to play this one. They're going to let the Fire Giant fall off.
They're going to set up an ambush around this corner of the bend while they're waiting for Cherryo to make the grouping here. I think that Cherryo wanted to split push in the solo lane for a little bit, but now SK Gaming will back off. Faeles not having his ultimate for a couple more seconds, going to give it up.
Easy. SK Gaming right now controlled the game from the very beginning. Right now, well, they're watching themselves get controlled. Mousesports with a fantastic turnaround here. The Gold Fury going to solidify their gold lead as well, pushing them closer to 4,000. The Fire Giant will respawn eventually in about a minute or so, and that's where the next fight will be. Mousesports will come in, and the gold lead is symbolic at this point. SK Gaming can absolutely fight into this, and they will, and they should. He who wins this next team fight gets the Fire Giant. Not sure about the win, but the Fire Giant will set the stage for the win.
I'm definitely going to be as bold as whoever gets the Fire Giant next will win this game.
Yeah?
I think that
Do they win it in the ensuing push, or do they win it eventually?
eventually. I don't think maybe not in the push right away. I think teams are playing very safe for the first day of Season 5, as they should. Right, the mid Phoenix, like all the Phoenixes, are more difficult to really siege down if you don't have the picks at your disposal. You need about 3 picks to get a Phoenix without much contestment, to be honest. But when all 5 members are strong, even with a 20,000 goalie, we saw Energy versus Rival. Those games lasted quite a while.
Yeah, and what it comes down to is, I think there's a couple of variables. One is the variable that, uncertainty, right? A little bit uncertain of how this new map and meta are going to play, so you're playing a little bit slow. And the other, like you said, just the raw changes to the gameplay has definitely caused the defense, given the defense a little bit of a boon, so to speak. Fire Giant in hand, half hour in. Mousesports trailed in all relevant categories for the majority of this game. Right now, still trailing in kills, but they're up in gold. They have the Fire Giant buff, and they're looking to turn this one around. This is the final game of a 3-game set, and right now, Mouse has the wheel.
The Strife and the poke here from Discordia onto Nika. They're going to deal a decent amount of damage, but decent amount of regen here with the Fire Giant having to pop a health chalice as well. Once he lands some of his abilities, he'll be proccing that Gladiator shield. Nika just going to wait it out until the next wave occurs here. And with Lawbster playing around the wall, that's where a lot of mid-mages go. I wouldn't be surprised if Cherryo blinks on that side.
Nice Strife, some damage from Lawbster as well. Funball has a nice item. I love this Midgardian male here. He's going to get jumped on by Ducky most likely, and it's going to slow him down, slow Ducky down rather, and that will allow Funball to escape, allowing him to heal in the fountain and come on back. He's been trailing this whole game, but max level is 20, and now he's caught up. He's absolutely going to be able to play defense for his team here.
Mouse just taking a long time to wait it out for this next wave, but the poke from SK Gaming is not going to stop. Finally blinking his Cherryo, focusing his attention on Faeles. Golden Apple of Discord connects on Nika, and Lawbster eliminates Cherryo.
Faeles did so much more damage than Cherryo did to him, and the turnaround for SK is fantastic. Badgah's going to find a knock-up target.
So low.
The jump away from Jermain is good. 4 players alive, or just barely, from Mousesports. They do still have the Fire Giant, and this is a scenario where that didn't work.
Yeah.
Let's try again. They have a chance to try again.
It was a nice idea. What Cherryo wanted to do, he knew he wasn't going to kill Faeles, and with how far he blinked, no one realistically can ever follow up that distance. But the idea of his engage from Cherryo was to not allow Faeles to engage his backline. But because of the sporadic team fight from Mouse, SK Gaming were all so low. No one took a spill. Mouse didn't have the target selection the way they wanted to. Everybody was just taking AoE damage instead.
I'm going to offer an opinion. I think that that's just incorrect. Fear No Evil is a great initiation tool, but it's also one of the best counter initiation tools as well. I understand the idea that we can't get engaged on, but I absolutely think Faeles has a pull. But you can drop the Fear No Evil on top of the pull. I think Cherryo should have kept that ultimate and either played counter initiation or you nailed it. You are correct. That was the game plan. I just flat out think it was the wrong one.
Wow, Badgah even getting beads for himself just to ensure Ragnarok right there would not put him in a sticky situation, and that's going to keep himself alive for this defense. The dual lane Phoenix still waiting for more members to group up from Mouse. As Cherryo has respawned, he's split pushing in the mid lane. His blink's not available for another 10 seconds, but that's plenty of time. Keep in mind though, Faeles' beads is not available, but as is Cherryo.
5 players strong on the left side. No 4-in-1 split this time. Mouse coming in with their full strength. Looking for the Phoenix. Nice strife coming out from Lawbster. Just a ton of damage. Way up on the player damage for good reason. He's able to find so many shots.
Nika, though, he wanted to engage, but BigManTingz took so much damage that Mouse has to retreat from this team fight. Fire Giant buff is fading in 8 seconds. All of Mouse needs to just prepare themselves for the next objective.
Now, it's funny. Last time around, I lamented the fact that they engaged. This time around, with the Fire Giant fleeting, that's when you kind of are forced to engage.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see these two teams just backwards. Last time around, let yourself get engaged on. This time around, be aggressive.
And the thing was, Cherryo was looking for the blink play, but Lawbster is constantly hitting him around that corner of the wall with the stripe. Somebody else needs to bait that out and have Cherryo blinking after that ability is on cooldown and look for the easy engage.
You see this ward all the time. It's the ward way up top there by SK's base, right in between the 2 lanes there in the jungle. That ward that you see Susano by, that's one of the most important wards in the late game. You're able to spot out that lurking assassin, that lurking mid laner, and that's why Lawbster was able to do what you just pointed out. That vision.
Sometimes it's not a bad idea, though, to maybe have even Cherryo split push, because if he can enter the vicinity of, like, let's say the middle Phoenix, he can blink from behind and not have to worry about all these abilities that are flying around, putting him in combat. Whether or not he avoids the strike, he also has to worry about the Discordia ball that's going to just scatter and randomly hit him as well.
Big picture, we've got 6 teams in each region. And when you look at Europe, you've got Obey, Dignitas, Energy, and Rival. That are the big dogs of the region.
Sure.
And then SK Gaming and Mousesports are kind of the other 2. Looking at these 2 squads, is there any I think SK can kind of contend with the top. Both of these teams are looking really nice. Do you see either of these breaking into the top 4?
Consistently, no. I think that maybe they can break into the top 4 for the first 2 weeks. In the long haul, I don't expect either of these teams to realistically get maybe 4th.
Sure.
Maybe like somebody in the top 4 kind of slips.
All right, now Cherryo He's not slipping. Nice ultimate, and Lawbster's relatively low, and you can see Dardez has his eyes all over the mage. That's the prime target. 25% of the objective. Nika gets one, but Ducky gets the other. It's a 4-on-4, but look at the HP bars of the blue team. Mousesports ready to roll on in. Jermain and BigManTingz have blood in their minds. Ducky able to back up.
Oh, Faeles commits to the teleport here, coming out of Cherryo, almost eliminating Hunbats from this game. Funballer, hail of arrows. He connects it, but not on the target he wanted to. He was kind of hoping that Cherryo was backing right around that corner. So successful siege, 1-for-1 and a Phoenix. And that's going to be the game plan from Mouse from here on out. The way they took out Lawbster was relatively clean. I would say, you know, giving up Dardez as support is as best as you're going to want to hope.
Sure. But the target prioritization, mwah, you know exactly who you're going for. All eyes on Lawbster because he's the one doing it. I mean, the player damage speaks for itself, right? And just watching the game, I mean, he was single-handedly kept Mouse from pushing up on the left side out of control. If SK Gaming win this series and win this game, y'all better vote for Lawbster. I don't want to see anybody but Lawbster win this MVP vote if SK wins.
If Mouse wins, though, who's your MVP vote for that?
Man, the whole team has been playing really, really well. I mean, I guess you're probably looking at Cherryo. A lot of the setup has come from Cherryo here. I don't know, that one's a little tougher.
Yeah.
I think that team has been a little bit more together, whereas SK Gaming, everybody's doing their part, but Lawbster has been the guy.
It's going to depend on this last siege, potentially. Fire Giant buff still around their waist for another minute and 5 seconds. BigManTingz doing a decent amount of poke onto Badgah, really exploiting the fact that Lawbster has to defend middle lane against Cherryo as Funballer's forced to retreat in the fountain.
Jermain doesn't really get that much damage for his ultimate, but still pushing forward. Just 25% missing from that Phoenix, but there's the assassin. Lawbster, where'd you go? Cherryo boils down the mid laner, and the left-hand side looks like it's all Mouse. Phoenix still alive, but the up-down from Dardez not gonna find the stun. Faeles is able to take care of him, but Jermain puts Funball in the ground. Faeles in trouble, impaled. Faeles is yesterday's news. Jermain with the double. 2 players left to play defense. This looks like Mouse seeping in.
Jermain just jumps into 2 and the Titan as well. Left side Phoenix is very low. I don't think Mouse really care for that whatsoever here. They're going to have a middle wave to eliminate the backdoor protection here. It's a 4-on-2 here. 3 members from SK Gaming are dead for at least 25 seconds. Ducky and Badgah need to desperately hold on to this one.
Love the commitment to killing the Phoenixes. This isn't a sure shot on the Titan, and even if you kill the Phoenixes, you make the Titan even easier to kill, but if you don't make it, you're able to come back. This time around, they absolutely do. And it's going to be all Mouse here in the beginning of Season 5.
Cherryo 1v1ing Lawbster, middle Phoenix. That's basically the theme of the whole entire set, honestly. It's just like that kind of mind games being together. Like, they played against each other quite a bit.
You know, you asked me who I'll say Cherryo.
Yeah, I'm going to say Cherryo as well.
I'll say Cherryo. What do you guys say? That's the question we're going to ask you guys out there in Mixer Chat. It's Cherryo for us. Clearly, I mean, the way he shuts down Lawbster, because like I said, man, Lawbster, one-man army.
Yes.
One-man army there in the late game, stretching it all the way to 3. Very nice performances from both of these teams. SK does eventually fall to Mousesports. A little bit to talk about here. Let's break it down with Taco and Aggro.
Thank you very much, guys. Game 3 goes the way of Mousesports. So the team that everyone was kind of sleeping on coming into this year in Europe end up starting off their season with a big victory. Taking it for that first set, Taco, feels like the best sort of confidence boost that you can get.
I'll say I am a bit pleasantly surprised after watching Mouse's performance in that last match in particular. I think that they did a great job coordinating all of their proper ultimates at the right time. It was mostly off of Dardez using those initiating factors off of the Fenrir ultimate. I think that really got things going for them in a lot of those mid to late game team fights. They were having some issues struggling at first. They're trying to smooth out everything that was going wrong for them at the beginning, but once they got it going, they really made sure to not let go of the lead.
Yeah, SK was kind of in control of that game, and then there's that one moment where SK is sieging down a tier 2. They end up all backing, and Mousesports just takes Gold Fury. So, and then that kind of starts it rolling back in their favor. Everyone from Mousesports had a pretty solid performance, but just like in Game 1, Game 3's MVP is going to be Cherryo, the jungler for Mousesports. Though this time, at least, he had some kills. Last time was at that 0 kill mark. This time, 5-5 and 4, 22, nearly 23,000 damage. But as the casters highlighted at the end there, that soloing of Lawbster underneath that mid Phoenix enables the end to happen.
That's the primary reason why Mouse was able to find this win. That Discordia defense, it's really difficult, especially for a team composed of 4 physical gods to try and breach those defenses. Lawbster was really putting in work with that Discordia CC and just in general burst damage. He didn't even have a chance to use his own ultimate at the end there. Cherryo just took care of him before he even had the chance to deploy it.
Man, and Cherry having the Guardian in Game 1 and 2, the Cabrakan, the tried and true, and then being able to switch to this assassin playstyle in this final game of the set. That's got to be such a confidence boost if you're Cherryo or just a fan of Mousesports to see that he still has at least the Hun bats in the pocket.
I think it's also a solid pick as well for Cherryo, simply because of the fact that we mentioned it earlier on in the cast that this is one of those signature gods for Faeles. I have to agree with you that I tend to think of Faeles whenever I see a Humbats on the board, and so for Cherryo to pilot it so excellently and actually get a game-winning solo frag like that, really, really awesome to see. More importantly, though, I do think that Mouse just capitalized on SK's mistakes more than anything else.
Well, there you go. Mousesports, they take the 2-1 victory over SK. If you are a Cherryo or a Mousesports fan, you're probably pretty happy. Well, we want to make the rest of you happy as well. We've got a gem sale going on right now for you, up to 35% off gem packs. It's only a limited time, so make sure you get that while you can. Certainly want to grab things like that awesome Neath skin. On the other side of things, we have to look at the standings that we have after today. We saw Rival versus Energy kick off our day today. Rival ended up winning that set 2-1, and then of course this Mousesports victory over SK puts them at 1-0 on the year as well. So the standings a little bit different than they used to be. No longer that point structure that we used to have. Now it's pretty cut and dry. You either won or you lost, and it makes it a little bit easier for you. That does it for today, but this is just the beginning of an excellent week of SPL action. Let's take a look at the schedule for tomorrow. NA is going to start at 5 p.m. A little bit of a later start. You can get home from work, get everything ready to go, and catch E United versus Luminosity. How's that for a kickoff match for you? Also have Splice versus Counterlogic Gaming, 2 of the new organizations to join the SPL here in Season 5. Then on Friday, for more NA action, it's CLG versus Trifecta, that new Zapman roster for Trifecta. Excited to see what they can do. E United versus Space Station, have the 2 kind of top teams that most people think of in NA right now. Those will play on Friday, as well as Space Station versus Trifecta. That is going to be the Bera versus Zapman power matchup that everyone is, I'm sure, excited about.
Everybody loves seeing those 2 old school hunters going at it because more often than not, neither side is ever down to throw away that boxing potential. Although in Season 4, Zap did tend to back off a little bit more from Bera.
Have to wait and see. That's going to be Friday, but you don't have to wait until then for more SPL action. Again, tomorrow, 5 p.m. start time for the NA SPL. Thank you so much for joining us on our inaugural day of Season 5 of SPL. We'll catch you tomorrow.